She never knew that the man who carried her last night was a ritualist. And this happened to her. However, something goes wrong with Chidinma. The ritual backfires. She doesn't die. She wakes up, but with strange spiritual powers, haunted dreams, and a voice telling her to uncover a demonic secret tied to Richard's bloodline. As she begins to connect the dots, she finds herself in a deadly race against time, fighting for her life, for justice, and for the countless other girls who never lived to tell their stories. The story will explore innocence versus evil, village values versus city deception, blood money, ritualism, spiritual warfare, betrayal, revenge, and redemption. The price of greed. She only wanted to survive. But the man who offered her help last night was not a helper, he was a monster. And when he touched her, something ancient awoke inside her. Something that was not meant to be awakened. This is African Tales by Ijele, where true African stories come alive with powerful emotions, deep meanings, and unforgettable lessons. And like, share and subscribe. Night was falling. The streets of Lagos buzzed. But for Chidinma, the light in her life had gone out. Chidinma had only been in the city for 8 months. A 21-year-old village girl with eyes full of dreams, she came from Umuoji, a small community where girls were told to be content with marriage and babies. But not her. She had a dream, to make something of her life. To escape poverty. To support her widowed mother and younger siblings. She found a job as a cleaner in a hotel in Acacia. The pay was little, but she managed. She lived in a shared room with 2 other girls and often sent money home. Life was hard, but she was surviving, until that evening. Her Oga's wife accused her of stealing a necklace she never saw. No questions, no investigations. She was slapped, disgraced, and sent out of the hotel without her bag, her phone, or even her slippers. Just like that. Now she stood under the bridge in Ojota, trembling. Cars sped past, people rushed, but no one cared. She had no one. Her roommates had blocked her. Her boss refused to take her calls. Tears ran down her cheeks. Her only thought was, how did my life come to this? She sat on the pavement and tried to stay warm. She was too ashamed to beg, too weak to walk far. Just then, a black Jeep slowed down near her. The window rolled down slowly. A man's face appeared, smooth-skinned, handsome, calm eyes, and a charming smile. "Hello dear, are you okay? You look like you need help." She hesitated. She remembered her mother's voice, "Don't ever follow strangers at night, oh." But she was tired. Hungry. Cold. And his voice was too gentle. His perfume too expensive. "I can drop you somewhere safe." "I'm not a bad person, I swear," he added, showing her his ID card. Richard Ogbonna, CEO. Richhold Ltd. She looked at the card. Looked at his face. Then back at the cold road. Her legs gave in. She got in. And that was the night everything began. Richard's mansion was in Lekki. As they drove in, Chidinma's eyes widened. Tall gates. Security men. Marble floors. Golden chandeliers. The scent of money was everywhere. "Just take a shower, eat something, and rest," Richard said. "Tomorrow, I'll help you get back on your feet. You remind me of my younger sister." Chidinma felt safe for the first time in hours. She bathed. Ate. Slept in a room bigger than her whole family's house. But in the middle of the night, she woke up. She heard voices. Chanting. Something like incantations. She tiptoed out of the room. The corridor was dark. The voices were coming from the basement. She leaned closer. A strange door. Candles. Red cloths. Shadows moving inside. She ran back to her room and locked the door. By morning, everything seemed normal. Richard smiled like nothing happened. He handed her a new phone. A brand new bag of clothes. I want to help you, Chidinma. I've already spoken to a friend of mine who runs a cleaning company. You can start next week. She smiled. Maybe there are still good people in the world, she thought. But that night, while she slept, Richard opened her door, holding something behind his back. It was 3 a.m. Chidinma couldn't move. Her eyes were open, but her body was frozen. She was awake, but couldn't scream. Couldn't run. Richard stood at the edge of her bed. Behind him, two strange men in red robes chanted. One held a bowl. The other held a blade. Don't worry, pretty girl, Richard whispered. It won't take long. You'll be part of something bigger than yourself. She wanted to scream. But her mouth was sealed, supernaturally. She could only cry through her eyes. A candle was lit. Her name was called. A blade touched her skin. Blood trickled. Suddenly, the candle blew out. The ground shook. One of the men screamed. Then, silence. Richard looked confused. What's happening? Why isn't it working? The elder in red spoke. This girl, she is not ordinary. Something is fighting back. A force stronger than ours. Chidinma's eyes rolled back. She saw visions. A river. A woman with glowing eyes. A voice. You are chosen, Chidinma. They cannot kill what I have marked. You must rise. Suddenly, she sat up. Richard fell backwards. His men fled. She stood, glowing. Blood vanished. Her eyes were burning. She was no longer just a helpless girl. She had become something more. Something that would destroy them all. The room was quiet again, but Chidinma was trembling. She sat in the corner of the bed, gasping for air. Her eyes scanned every inch of the luxurious room that now felt like a death chamber. The golden curtains. The soft mattress. The beautiful paintings. All of it suddenly looked like a well-decorated trap. What happened to me? Why couldn't I move? Who were those men? Why did he want to kill me? She remembered the strange voice. The glowing river. The woman. You are chosen, Chidinma. She had no time to think. She had to escape. But the door was locked from outside. She tiptoed to the window. 5 floors up. No ladder. No fire escape. She looked down and nearly fainted. That jump would kill her. She remembered the phone Richard gave her. She found it in the drawer. No SIM card. No contacts. No internet. Just games and pictures of other girls. Dead girls. Blood on their faces. Eyes wide open. Some had missing parts. She dropped the phone like it burned her hand. Tears filled her eyes. Mama. I should have listened. She heard footsteps. Quickly, she pretended to sleep. The door opened. Richard entered, alone. His suit was neat. His smile was clean. Like nothing had happened. Good morning, sunshine, he said softly. Did you sleep well? Chidinma didn't answer. I brought you breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Pineapple juice. Eat well so you can go for your interview today. She opened her eyes and forced a smile. Thank you. He sat beside her. Looked into her eyes. Are you okay? She nodded. Just tired, nightmares. He touched her shoulder gently. Everything will be fine. She wanted to slap his hand away. But she smiled instead. He left shortly after. She jumped up and tried the door again. still locked. The window was still a death trap. But then, she noticed something. A small ventilation shaft under the dressing table. It was small, but maybe not too small. She dropped to her knees. Pulled it open. Darkness. Dust. But it led somewhere. She began to crawl. The shaft was tight. Every inch scraped her skin. Her knees were bleeding. Her heart pounded like a drum. For 20 minutes she crawled, twisted, turned, until she reached a wider hole with a broken mesh. She pushed it, and fell into a dark storage room filled with ancient sculptures, jars, and a human skull on a shelf. She screamed. Suddenly, the door to the store flung open. 2 men rushed in. They caught her. And dragged her back, screaming, kicking, crying, to the same room. This time, Richard was waiting. No smile. No kindness. Just rage. You should not have done that, Chidinma. The slap landed on her face like thunder. Her ears rang. Blood trickled from her nose. Richard stood over her, breathing heavily. I gave you food. I gave you shelter. I gave you life. And this is how you repay me? He grabbed her by the hair, dragged her across the floor, and chained her ankle to the bedpost with a silver chain. You want to run? Then rot here like a dog. He stormed out. Chidinma curled up and cried for hours. Her body ached. Her soul was crushed. But even in the darkness, something strange happened. A soft voice whispered in her ear. It wasn't from a person. It was inside her mind. You are not alone. You must survive. You must live to reveal the truth. The voice felt familiar. Calming. Like a mother she had never met. Suddenly, the door opened again. But this time, it was not Richard. It was a young girl. About 16 years old. Light-skinned. Thin. Shivering. She had a tray of food in her hand. She looked at Chidinma, and quietly placed the food down. Chidinma sat up. Please, help me. I beg you. The girl looked around and whispered, My name is Ijele. I was once like you. Chidinma blinked. You live here? Ijele nodded. Richard brought me here 2 years ago. I was 14. He promised me education. A job. I believed him. Tears filled Chidinma's eyes. Ijele looked down. I've seen things. I've seen girls like you. They never leave. They all vanish after some nights. But last night, something happened. We heard the ground shake. Richard panicked. The elders were confused. They said something inside you broke the ritual. Chidinma leaned closer. Please, help me escape. Ijele hesitated. There's only one key to your chain. Richard hides it in a black box in his shrine room. I've never entered. But I can distract the guards. Maybe. Suddenly, footsteps again. Ijele fled quickly, leaving the food behind. Chidinma hid the bread under the bed. She had no appetite. She stared at the door, then at the window, then at the ceiling. I will not die here. I must fight. Then she whispered aloud. Whoever you are, whatever power is protecting me, help me now. Night again. Chidinma didn't sleep. Ijele had promised to return at midnight. She waited. Heart beating like a talking drum. Then, the door creaked open. Ijele slipped in. They're drunk, she whispered. Now or never. She unlocked the chain carefully. Chidinma stood. Her legs were stiff. But her eyes were alive. They tiptoed through the corridor. Past the kitchen. Past the living room. Then they reached it, the shrine room. Oleito refused to enter. "I can't, it's cursed." Chidinma pushed the door open. Inside was darkness. Smell of blood. Statues. Red cloth. Pots. Curries. In the center was a black wooden box. She opened it. Inside, charms, bones, feathers, and a silver key. She grabbed it. But suddenly, the statue behind her moved. A loud growl. The shrine was alive. A spirit burst forth, a shadow with no face. It grabbed her. She screamed. But suddenly, her body began to glow again. Her eyes lit up. A force exploded from her chest, throwing the spirit backward. The whole shrine shook. Oleito screamed and ran. Chidinma collapsed on the floor. She woke up 2 hours later. She was in the living room. Richard stood over her with the elders in red robes. One of them looked at her and said, "She is not human. She carries something ancient. Something buried." Richard clenched his fist. "Then what do we do?" The elder answered, "We must dig up the river bones. Only then can she be silenced forever." The elders sat in a circle. Candles flickered. The room was quiet, yet heavy. Chidinma, tied to a chair now, watched in horror as the oldest one, a blind man called Dibia Okonkwo, began to chant. E.g. Miri Mara Nwaa. Otuta Afo Gara Aga, Atohapugiya. The child marked by the water. Long ago, she was never released. Richard paced like a lion ready to pounce. "What do you mean she was never released? What child? What power?" Dibia Okonkwo turned his head slowly toward Richard and spoke with a low growl. "You fool! You carried a child that belongs to the river goddess. A spirit child. Born once every century. A living mirror between the world of the dead and the world of man." Everyone froze. Chidinma's eyes widened. "What are they saying?" What?" "Your ritual failed," the Dibia said. "Because you tried to sacrifice what cannot be killed. So how do we destroy her?" "We don't destroy her. We bury her. But not just anywhere, we must go back to the Forbidden River, and dig up the bones of the last sacrificed spirit girl." The other elders gasped. "That river was sealed by blood. We will unseal it." They began to prepare the ritual. Skulls. Kola nuts. Black fowl. Human hair. Oil lamps. Meanwhile, in her chair, Chidinma began to see visions again. Her eyes rolled back. She saw herself in a white wrapper, by a river. A woman in blue stood across from her. Beautiful. Face covered in water. "My child, they want to silence you. But you must rise." "Who are you? What is happening to me?" "I am your grandmother. You were born under the river star. You carry the seal. You are the breaker of bloodshed." Suddenly, the river turned red. The woman screamed. A shadow behind her pulled her into the water. Chidinma woke up screaming. Richard rushed to her and slapped her. "You will die tonight." But the Dibia shouted, "No. If you kill her now, her spirit will scatter into the wind and destroy this house. We must bury her properly." In silence. In the river. Chidinma shook with fear. They were taking her somewhere dark, somewhere cursed. And the worst part? She couldn't stop them. Not yet. A black SUV sped through the night. Inside, Chidinma was bound, blindfolded, and wedged between 2 armed guards. Oleito had disappeared. No one knew where she was. Some said she ran. Some said she was sacrificed in silence. The car drove for hours, leaving Lagos, into the woods of Annam, into the forest lands of the east. through thick bush paths and whispering trees. The air became heavier. Cold. Fog wrapped around the car like death's fingers. Finally, they reached it. Ajimiri, the Black Water. A cursed river known by locals as the River of No Echo. No sound returned from it. Not even a scream. Long ago, the villagers sacrificed spirit children here to gain rain, wealth, and fertility. The practice was banned. The place was cursed. But tonight, they returned. Torches were lit. The elders carried calabashes. Richard carried the chain. Chidinma was thrown on the ground. She cried. "Please, don't kill me." But Richard had no pity left. "You should have died the first night. You ruined everything. I lost 2 clients because of you." Suddenly, the Dibia lifted a bone staff. He chanted. The ground shook. A hole opened near the riverbank. Inside it, a pile of bones. Small, cracked, bloody bones of little girls. The Dibia reached in and pulled out a skull. "This is Anyanyeki, the last marked child sacrificed 100 years ago. With her bones, we silence the new one." They dragged Chidinma close. Then the Dibia began the burial chant. The wind howled. The river bubbled red. Suddenly, a scream came from inside the river. Everyone froze. The river exploded upward. A tall woman made of water and light rose from the surface. Her eyes burned like fire. "Return my child." Lightning struck. One elder caught fire. Another ran into the river and vanished. Richard screamed, "Kill her! Finish the ritual." The Dibia tried, but his staff caught fire in his hands. Chidinma began to levitate, her hands glowing. The chain broke. She screamed, and all torches went out. In the dark, chaos. Screams. Splashing. Footsteps. Chidinma vanished into the forest. She ran. Weak. Bloody. Confused. But free. They had tried to bury her. But the river had rejected their sacrifice. 3 days passed. Richard returned to Lagos with a burnt face and one eye blinded by the light of the river woman. He said nothing to the press. His men went missing. His home was haunted. Dogs barked at night. Objects moved by themselves. The elders were either dead or insane. But worst of all, Chidinma had escaped. And she was no longer ordinary. Somewhere in the bush, an old herbalist found her. Half-conscious. Foaming from the mouth. Feverish. He took her in. His name was Papa Keen. A retired Dibia who had long rejected blood rituals. He nursed her. Fed her herbs. Bathed her with water from a sacred stream. On the 3rd night, she opened her eyes. And her first word was, "Mama." Papa Keen looked at her and said, "You carry the river's heart. They will come again. But now, you must learn to fight back." Chidinma looked into the fire and whispered, "They will pay. Every single one of them." The hunter had now become the hunted. And a war had begun, between light and darkness.
It was the 4th night since Chidinma's escape. She stood by the fire outside Papa Keen's hut, shivering, not from cold, but from memories. Her dreams had become visions. Her thoughts were no longer her own. Sometimes she heard songs in a language she didn't understand. Other times, she saw herself walking on water. Papa Keen came out with a bowl of herbs. "You're ready," he said. "Ready for what?" Chidinma asked, confused. "To begin learning the truth about yourself, and how to survive what is coming." He sat her down and touched her forehead with a red stone. She fell into a deep trance. Suddenly, she was standing in an ancient village. Warriors danced. Maidens sang. Then drums stopped. A girl, dressed like her, was tied and dragged toward the river. She is the chosen one. Born with the mark, a man shouted. Sacrifice her and wealth shall fall like rain, another yelled. The girl screamed. The crowd cheered. Her blood was poured into the water. Then the water turned black. A voice roared from beneath. You will pay for this with generations of sorrow. The village vanished in flames. Chidinma screamed and woke up gasping. What was that? She asked. Papa Keen nodded gravely. That girl was your great-grandmother. The first chosen. Betrayed. Sacrificed. Cursed. Now, her blood runs in you. The river goddess has waited 100 years for you to come. Chidinma blinked. Why me? Because you carry her voice. You are the seal and the sword. And now, they know you're alive. They'll send things. Spirits. Dreams. Possessions. Just then, the sky thundered. A bird landed nearby and burst into black feathers. Chidinma turned to Papa Keen. Teach me. Teach me how to fight. Back in Lekki, Richard's mansion had turned cold. Mirrors cracked on their own. Dogs howled all night. His personal chef went mad and began eating glass. A security man hanged himself, but no rope was found. Richard could no longer sleep. His eye, the one burnt by Chidinma's energy, oozed blood. The elders were gone. He had no protection left. One night, as he bathed, the bathwater turned red. He screamed. His reflection smiled back at him. He called Baba Iku, a secret spiritualist feared across Lagos. The old man arrived barefoot, with bones tied to his waist. She's alive, Baba Iku said, touching the walls. And she is growing stronger. Kill her. Richard shouted. I'll pay anything. Baba Iku shook his head. You can't kill her with money. You must offer something precious. Blood. Innocent blood. Richard froze. Baba Iku grinned wickedly. Bring me your only child. The one you've hidden in the village. The boy. Richard gasped. No. Or die slowly. Your wealth will vanish. Your eyes will rot. Your name will smell in the mouths of men. Richard looked out the window. His phone rang. His son's voice.
Daddy, when are you coming to see me? Tears dropped from Richard's eye. But his hands clenched. I'll bring him tomorrow. The devil was ready. In the village, Chidinma had begun her training with Papa Keen. She woke each day with herbs in her mouth and prayers on her tongue. She bathed with black soap from the sacred stream. She ate only food cooked under the moonlight. One night, Papa Keen drew a circle on the ground and poured red dust into it. Sit in the middle. Whatever happens, do not step out. She obeyed. He placed 7 mirrors around her. Lit 7 candles. Beat a talking drum 3 times. Then he said, Tonight, the spirits will come. You must look them in the eye and not blink. He stepped back. Darkness fell. The wind whispered. Then, they came. Long arms. No faces. Crawling upside down. Some with wings. Some headless. Their bodies twisted like ropes. They surrounded the circle. Chidinma gasped. One touched her skin, but couldn't enter the circle. Then they spoke, not with voices, but with thoughts. You are not one of them, you are one of us. Your mother hid you. She ran from the river, but we always find our own. Come to us. You belong beneath. Chidinma shut her eyes. The mirrors cracked. One of the spirits began to crawl over the flame. Papa Keen threw a powder boom. The flame exploded and scattered them. But not before one of them whispered. We will return, in the face of someone you love. The circle broke. Chidinma fell, shaking. Why did they say I belong with them? She asked. Papa Keen held her shoulders. Because your mother was a spirit host. She escaped the river temple. But your blood remembers. You're now caught between two worlds. Chidinma looked up at the stars. Her voice cracked. Will I ever be normal again? No, Papa Keen answered. But you will be powerful. If you survive. Night fell like a curse on Richard's house. He had returned from the village with his only son, 9-year-old Muna, a quiet, curious child who had never met his father until now. Muna sat on the bed, swinging his legs. Daddy, is this really your house? It's so big. Richard smiled faintly. Yes, my boy. And soon, everything will be yours. He watched the child sleep that night. Tears fell from Richard's eyes. But then, he wiped them and turned cold again. He walked into the shrine, where Baba Iku waited. Are you ready? The old spiritualist asked. I have no choice, Richard muttered. I have too many enemies. That girl, she's ruining everything. I must become untouchable. The ritual began. Cow blood. Snail slime. Bones of an unwashed dead baby. And Muna's toenail and hair. Baba Iku spoke in tongues no man should speak. Richard closed his eyes and whispered. Forgive me, my son. Suddenly, the fire turned blue. Baba Iku screamed. A woman's face appeared in the fire. Water dripping from her hair, her mouth open in silent rage. If you touch that boy, you'll never know peace again. She's here again. Baba Iku shouted. The river woman is watching. The boy carries a light. Richard stumbled back. Then what do I sacrifice? Your tongue, Baba Iku said. Your voice. Speak no more, and the spirits will defend you. Richard shook his head. How can I do business without my voice? Then die like the rest. The fire exploded. Baba Iku vanished in smoke. And Richard was left alone, weeping in madness. This is African Tales by Ijele.